stay a while and listen.
Welcome back to the Agony of Positivity podcast. I am Ross, and with me, a man of many names.
Today I'm going to go with Moondog Saul.
Moondog? Alright.
Moondog Saul.
I've honestly lost track of what we were doing previously, so we can start over. Let's see here. So for this week...
how's your week been?
Well, today's show is brought to you by me cleaning out my deep freezer and letting it thaw and throwing giant chunks of ice outside.
Okay, alright, yeah.
I was thinking, I was taking a shower before we recorded. And I was like, it'd be funny if instead of just saying what I did for the week or something that happened, if I treated it as if it was a sponsor and the show was brought to it by that. So I might try that out throughout the course of the episode.
Okay.
People have a problem with
my
it and
sponsor, my sponsor is pillows. I was sleeping on them until probably 10:30, and then I got up and said, "Oh, I got to do a podcast." So that's the only thing I've done today.
Man, did you have a late night?
No more so than normal, I guess.
You seem like you're usually up before 10:30.
Yeah, not because I want to be, but
you just wake up. Well, I know I can promise that anyone else who's ever worked with you would agree that you are not a morning person.
Yes. So,
trying to think. The only other thing moderately exciting is the place that I work. They do a rewards program.
Yeah.
And I got one. Yeah, it's like one of those point things, and then you go to a website, and so I got recognized with some points, and I was like, okay, well, let's see what I can get with this. I think someone made a typo and meant to hit like 250 points, but put 1,250 points. Okay. Because the options were shockingly good. So,
okay. Give me one option.
There were like a Les Paul guitar. Which is, now it's going to be the low end Les Paul guitar, but that's something that could actually be usable. Sure. There was a lot of no kind of computer or electronic device that I would want. They had some of the Sony hand cam recorders.
Okay.
There was different gift cards of a few $100s. So there was some decent things on there. What I decided to get, because I have thought about this a few times, is trying to learn to play the fiddle, or as some uncultured people call it, the violin. And they actually had a electric one that came with basically it was a full size electric. I haven't researched the brand too much because I don't really care, because I'm not actually paying any money for it. So, because it's something where it's because supposedly it is very hard to learn to play. So I don't know if I'll do any good, but it's basically a free roll at this point. So, moderately excited about that. If I don't suck awful, I'll redo our intro with violin. That'll be exciting. Or it will live in a box somewhere. So, we will see. But... So we have a show today. I'm not gonna promise a good show. I'm not gonna promise exciting, but it is a show. So we got. Unfortunately, we couldn't do more episodes of Harley Quinn. Our source is cut off at the moment from the outside world, apparently.
Yes.
But we did watch something that had Harley Quinn in it, and then we got some wrestling stuff. What would you like to go to?
Let's see here. Let's do some wrestling, I guess.
All right, I will bumper us. One moment.
I don't know what the hell's going on here, folks. Looks like he's just wearing blue. This is a revolution.
All right. 'Alright. So, I guess the first thing we need to talk about is the Double. 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 Dou
Well, before we get into the actual show, like
Yes.
as far as like Dynamite and some of that,
Yeah.
let me talk about some of the things because I talked to you a little bit about what I watched.
Yeah.
Can I just tell you how great Shawn Michaels was at the first DX? That whole run he did. I mean, he was so good at that. I mean, it was amazing how good of a job he did.
Oh, I know. You will never have to tell me how good Shawn Michaels was.
Well, it's funny because I was.
But
as
you
I
were a
was watching some of
WCW
it-
guy. So
Well, I was a WCW guy, but I remember watching the when DX first came up because they were really cool. Some of the stuff they were doing.
Yeah.
And as I was rewatching it over this past week, I'm like, if this DX, this China Triple H and Shawn Michaels fought the NWO, all 10 of them or whatever, however many were in the NWO at the time, I would actually have said, I don't know who's going to win this because Shawn Michaels and Triple H in China was actually a force to reckon with there. Well, actually, I guess if you want to count Rick Rude was a part of them there for a little bit. But.
Right. Yeah, if Rick Rude would have... I guess there was he could have theoretically wrestled again, but he didn't want to have to pay back his Lloyd's of London money, is what I've heard. I want to say that was on one of the mini Conrad podcasts that came up with maybe Pritchard. I don't know, obviously. Like, I have no inside information whatsoever. But if he would have actually wrestled and been with them, like, full on, that would have been amazing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. So, just wanted to give a little shout out to how great. The later DXs were all garbage. I didn't like any of those. But the first DX with Shawn Michaels.
That established Triple H. Shawn wasn't going to let that group not be dominant, basically, because the kind of person he was back then.
Sure.
But in the ring, he was going to be awesome. So, like, the one thing that's sad, because I remember watching the match, was the HBK Austin match at WrestleMania. Like, you could tell he was really hurting.
Yeah.
And that match still isn't bad at all. But man, if he wouldn't have been busted up, that probably would have been a fantastic match.
That stupid Mike Tyson didn't knock him out.
Mike Tyson just knocks people out for whatever reason. That's what he does.
Which, is a good segue into Dynamite here. So.
To Double or Nothing. Well, we'll touch on Double or Nothing real quick.
Okay. Yeah.
We did really, really good on our predictions. We're not going to rub it in anybody's faces. I mean, between us, we got minimum of one thing right. Now, the maximum might be one thing right as well. But we won't spend too much time on that. Let's see here. So, I mean, I'm sure we're always going to be behind on their pay-per-view, so I don't want to go too crazy into it. I just want to skip ahead to like the ladder match real quick, where we got Cage. Have you seen much of Cage anywhere?
Yeah, I watched some of his Impact stuff.
What do you think? Because I've seen him do a few things, but like I haven't really watched a lot of his stuff. He looks brutal.
I don't know if he's just really, really good at portraying hitting people, or he just really hits people. I don't know. but when he like does his moves, it looks like he is actually connecting with them. Now, whether or not he is connecting or he's really good, I don't know which one it is.
Well, maybe he's so meaty that he can connect and it's not as bad.
Yeah. But yeah, anytime he does a move where he's punching somebody or doing a clothesline or something, it literally looks like he is running right over the person. So,
like it's stiff, brother. Here it comes. Like I know that's not how it works, but I like to just imagine that people are just like basically saying, "I'm going to hurt you." All right.
Sure.
Sure. What did you think on this match? Because they're obviously trying to find their thing. Doing the timed entry to a ladder match. What did you think of that?
It didn't bother me.
Did it seem like there needed to be more time involved, or like more people in a way they can be removed or something?
No. I mean, I like the whole setup of it. I mean, it didn't really.
I do like the idea. Something like the timing just felt weird to me.
Okay.
And I'm not sure, but I like that better than the Battle Royal method, where a group of people who drew from a deck of cards come in randomly.
Yeah, that method is terrible because when we actually do have live fans again, you can't. When people cheer, if you have a big old group of people, you know who they're cheering. And
right.
Stuff like that.
Well, yeah, and if you send out like a big heel with a big face, you're gonna be messing the reactions up. Now, I will question, because we talked about this as it was going on, since it was Scorpio and Kazarian starting it all.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at you and I was like, if I was in a tag team with you, I'd be like, hey, one of us grabs this, and then we have a one-on-one match later to see who really gets it. But then we eliminate everyone else. I feel like their planning wasn't too good.
No, I think that was kind of stupid on their part.
Right.
Well, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you like, hey, just go up there, Ross, or hey, go up there.
Right, well, because you knew for at least a week, like you had time to think about it and be like, what would we do? Hey, I know. Sure. And then we just have a match.
Yep.
Do you like Taz being paired with Cage?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't bother me. I do like how he brought back this is on Dynamite, so I don't
right, yeah. Now, well, I mean, we can mention that real quick, because Taz did like a promo with him, and it was really good.
Yeah, I do like how he brought back Beat Me, if you can survive, if he lets
Even
you.
if that's all it is like Taz just brought him in and shows up occasionally to do a promo, that was awesome. Like, that made it feel like a big deal to me. Like, that's all it took. So it's like, all right, we'll see what happens. We had... So next, MJF and Jungle Boy. Some people are saying this was probably the big match on, like, normal match on the card. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
I like the finish where MJ, like, just jump into the finish part. Like, the way he basically caught him in a move with the injured arm. It, like, pulled it off. Like, because all he cares about is winning. He doesn't need to do it with a finisher or anything. So that's all he wants out of it, but it makes it, like, Jungle Boy just got caught in a move.
Yeah, the only match that I liked that was normal, and I don't know if you agree with me or not, but I liked Sheeta versus Nyla. I thought that was the best one. Everything else I just thought was me.
Just didn't do it for you? You think it was lack of actual crowd? Or just
it could have been. There was just something. I don't know.
Something off.
I just couldn't get into it. Even the Cody's match was kind of meh.
Yeah, I liked all the stuff, but it did feel like it's a pay-per-view, but it just doesn't have the right feel without, like, the big crowd. But I mean, either way, like, they did pretty good for the most part. I wasn't super aware of no crowd because they did have some people there making some noise.
Sure.
But yeah, so we get the TNT champion, Cody versus the Murder Hawk. I was super surprised that Cody won, honestly.
Yes, I was also.
I was also super surprised at the look of the belt. Fortunately, the belt is not finished.
Yes.
I have no idea if they're true. Supposedly they're from the belt maker, like what the prototype or the ideal version is going to be. And it does look a lot better with some gold trim on it and things like that. Obviously, the TNT logo literally is the letters TNT with a circle. So that's why it just looks blank behind the TNT.
Sure.
If they treat the belt like a real, like a big deal, then that look will be fine in a couple weeks, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Although I've grown to really like the look of the AEW, like the actual championship. So my hopes for the TNT championship were pretty high. But they'll make it, if it's a legitimate title, it'll look fine, basically. And there's no history to it. Like, every time they change the Intercontinental title, I hate it. Because, to me, it looks like that classic style. Like, I'm never going to accept another belt called the Intercontinental title. But if you, like, got rid of the Intercontinental title and you were like, the Continental Enter Champion, okay, you can give me a new belt.
Sure.
Was there anything that really stuck out to you during the Cody match?
No, other than
Mike Tyson being ripped.
I I mean, Mike Tyson, he just seems he just seemed like a weirdo in that match. It just seemed like he was not very interested in being there.
I was taking a drink. Well, at one point they had the camera on him and he started to yawn.
Yeah, it just seemed like he was just like, "This is boring. Why am I here?" Type thing. And then
I mean,
he didn't really do anything.
Right. Well, I think they're building to him doing something because, I mean, all reports have always been he's a really big wrestling fan and always wants to do something. So we'll have to see. We found out that Baker was busted up. Statlander and Ford had their match. Mm-hmm. Spears and Dustin had a match, which was pretty much what we figured.
I saw more Spears than I cared to see, to be honest with you.
Yeah. The sticker on the boxers was alarming at first. Because that was the wrong flesh tone to use, I think.
Yeah, I think that was done on purpose, I think.
To cause whatever. They did whatever.
So I guess Spears is just happy with doing. I mean, because I think from everything I've heard, everything that Spears has done is because he wants to do it. So I think he's just happy with just doing comedy stuff. I don't know.
Right, he's having fun. Well, there might be something down the line for him, but right now maybe he's just like, oh, I think this would be fun to do, and they're letting him do it. I mean, it was a nice change of pace from some of the other stuff going on. Here's your match, the Sheeta and Nyla, where it felt like they beat the crap out of each other a lot, for sure. Sheeta wins the tiniest title in the world. It even looks tiny on her. We had Brody and Moxley. They also kind of beat the crap out of each other. I hate... So I rewatched this match in the Stadium Stampede this morning on YouTube at 144p as far as resolution. I hate suplexes and things around those railings because the feet stick straight up in the air like a death spike. It makes me so nervous. They did... I'm trying to think, like, there's a lot of big stuff where they hit each other. They did everything they could to keep Mr. Brody strong as far as like kicking out of crazy stuff to where you had to choke him out. Obviously this is not, my guess would be this is not where they planned to go 2 months ago. And it's what they did. We'll have to see what they do to rebound it. I was thinking it would be really funny though, because Mr. Brody is overly serious. If he were to step away from the Dark Order, but he's still basically Mr. Brody. And then at some point down the line, he has to team up with like Moxley or something. When Moxley is done being like super serious all the time to rebuild himself. And he teaches Mr. Brody how to loosen up. Like, Brody's just a stick in the mud and so serious about everything all the time. Like, him and Moxley, or like someone, like Brody and someone, to where they get him to lighten up a little bit, like, I think would be funny. Now, I don't know if that's something he would ever want to do, but it would make me laugh.
Sure.
Because when you have that, like, the super straight man character with someone who can actually do some comedy, it's fantastic.
Yeah,
or have him hang out with like Orange Cassidy and learn the way of the sloth or whatever. So Stadium Stampede. I had no idea what to expect in this thing.
Yeah.
Were you entertained by it?
Pretty much. I loved it. I thought it was good.
Yeah, I didn't realize how long it was. Like when we were sitting there watching it, it didn't feel 40 minutes to me.
No.
Like, I really thought it was like 20 minutes. And then when I saw the time, when I was, reading over results to see if there was stuff I missed, I was like, wow, I didn't realize it lasted that long. Like, they did a real good job of, keeping me engaged, basically.
Yeah, so what was your favorite part of it? Because there was different segments
of it. Man. One of the things that I liked, that I thought was weird, but it wasn't enough for me to comment on, was, I think it was Santana did the Irish whip into the back, like No Mercy style, like when you would transition from one fighting area in the game to the other. Like, I saw someone point that out on Twitter or something. I was like, that's why that kind of because I thought it was weird. Like Hangman chasing Sammy with the horse, Sammy being chased by the golf cart again.
Yes.
Sammy being Northern Lights suplexed across the field, which I would like to say I actually called that. Not that it wasn't. I'm sure
You did.
50% of the world saw that coming as soon as he did the first one.
Well, I thought
It's
it
funny.
was, I mean,
Most of my stuff involves
looking-
Sammy.
well, looking back at where AEW first started and where we're at now with AEW,
Yeah.
I had never thought that Sammy would be anything because
Really?
I saw when he, well, far as popular as he is right now.
Yeah.
Because when Jericho put him in the inner circle, I was like, yeah, okay, I guess. Because I always thought he was just going to be this, something that was in there and they would try and it just wouldn't catch,
Right.
But I mean, he's actually very entertaining.
Yeah. Do you ever watch his vlog?
I tried to a couple times. I know his vlog is kind of annoying.
It's all over the place.
Yes.
I've said it before. It's so weird to me because he seems like he's probably actually a really nice guy. But
Yes.
during Dynamite or any of the events, he comes across so horrible. And his haircut makes me just angry on sight. That it's so weird. It's like, oh, I like him, but I really want to see him get beat up. And then I get to see awful things happen to him week after week.
Well, I like the Stadium Stampede because he was wearing pants. So
Yes. Yeah, because once I pointed out how he wore the undersized trunks, it was fortunately he stopped that.
Yes.
But which it was like it's kind of weird in a way. Like that can't be comfortable. But yeah, and the thing is, like he's gotten as popular. Like it seems like he's getting more and more popular. There's a streamer I was watching the other day that was wearing a Sammy hat. And I just thought that was fun. I was like, oh, all right. And that guy's actually from Austin. So he was watching him in Wrestle Circus that was on Twitch all the time.
Yeah.
And he was like, it's funny. He was like, because he was like, kind of like the hometown hero there, like super good guy. And to see him as like the bad guy. But yeah, I mean, he's definitely been making the most out of what's going on. And the small sphere we're around to people who pay attention, like he's not winning a ton of stuff, but he's definitely worth more than when it started.
Yeah. See, well, I thought he was just going to be like, six Pac, and
right. He was
like
just kind of there,
just there, and not really did anything.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, he's
Well,
actually done a lot. So.
Seems like Jericho too, though, has made it a point, like because Sammy's his guy to tag with as opposed to being Hager. And he does. It seems like Jericho does what he can to help him out, like as far as being involved with stuff. I mean, well, it is funny though because he's always got like the phone for the vlog. Didn't Six always be the cameraman for the NWO?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. He was. Yep.
So, but Sammy's more like I don't know. I just never cared for 6X Kid Pac.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, yeah. I mean, anyway, I thought X-Pac could have been a lot better than what they did with him. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So.
The black and gold with the gold kick pads on the shoes. I thought that was awesome for 6. But trying to think because they started out like Hangman wasn't there, but Kenny wasn't worried. So then he shows up on the horse and chases down Sammy, which like obviously this was done over the like. It wasn't just a straight shoot, I can't imagine, on some of the stuff. Once in a while, you could kind of tell where there was a camera cut, sort of. Because I think, like, So I'm going to jump around here, but things that stuck out to me on my second watch through this morning. One, Hangman does literally nothing forever. But, like, JR calls him out on commentary. Where he's like, someone should get word to Hangman. He's like, also... If I'm ever lost, please do not send Adam Page. So I do like when JR is calling out weird stuff that he's like, I don't know about that. He'll do it to the faces too. But the part with Paige and Hager in the bar.
Oh,
I thought that was pretty good.
Part.
Huh?
Yeah, that was my favorite. That was my favorite part. The bar fight.
I was so like the whole bar fight thing was good. I like the idea of Hager as someone who doesn't talk, and he's not really like, because he wasn't super antagonistic to Paige, but he just was there to fight. Like,
Yes.
maybe they could build on that and make him more entertaining to me. I don't know. But they did like the whole bar, down the bar scene thing.
Yep.
What was gross to me at the end was when Kenny and Hangman toasted and the milk got into the whiskey and he still drank it. But I was so happy that Excalibur caught that and pointed it out, because it was like validation, like, that's gross, right? But yeah, there was like a lot of good stuff. The uranagi or the rock bottom, whatever you want to call it, like on the pool table, just sounded like it hurt.
Yeah.
Trying to think. There's the one part where Matt was holding Jericho on the table, and Nick Jackson ran to the top of the stadium, and then ran to the other side. Like, well, all that didn't matter because he stopped all his momentum when he jumped up on the railing.
Yes.
He only needed one flight of those stairs.
Yeah.
I get that it looks better, but it was just so weird. It was like, well, that was completely unnecessary.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
But I mean, he jumped so far.
The which one? The Santana or Ortiz
With Matt
fighting with Matt. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, in
especially
the pool
when,
of resurrection.
Yeah, especially when Ortiz is like, I can't swim.
Well, there was so I guess that actually caused a little controversy, because at one point Matt did like the dead man's float for a few seconds, and with everything that happened with, and I didn't really think too much of that, because that was the version 1 Matt, where they had just put up the Matt facts of how long he can hold his breath, and they did not hold him underwater nearly that long.
Yeah.
So I didn't take it as, I mean, that's a big part of the whole broken.
That's people.
Right. Like
That's
a
people just pulling straws there and trying to.
Well, if they would have done it with like Hangman and Hager, like, well, that's kind of maybe not the best idea, but for Hardy, and like that pool is a big deal in that stadium. There's no way they're not using it, and it makes total sense to me with Matt Hardy. So I don't think it was really in bad taste. I did like when the Matt fact showed up that Santana and Ortiz could read it. So, like, those guys, I've read some criticism where people don't like that they're a little bit more comical, but I love them. Like,
well, if you notice, or like Ortiz is more comical. Santana's really not. So I think because he's not really all that comical, I think it's a good balance. Yeah, to me. I mean, I like it. I mean,
I saw one of the other, like, almost all the criticism I saw was from that. Like when Matt Hardy rang the bell over Ortiz, and he did like the Scooby-Doo walk away shake thing. People were like real upset about that too, and it's like, if you put your head right under that big of a bell, you'd probably like, obviously you wouldn't do exactly that, but you'd be like messed up from it potentially.
Well, I mean, Ortiz, he's just having fun with it. I mean, my God.
Well, also though, like, as far as in matches, they're still serious. Like, there's funny stuff, but they're not made a joke. Like, they're not just losing all the time. Like, they're still portrayed at least as a threat, and all that. But yeah, like, I thought that whole part was good. I like Matt putting the broom in the door for the ice machine, because I thought they were going to do that to him the last time. Trying to think. We had Sammy, like the Northern Light suplex for the whole field was fantastic. I hope they didn't really do it, and they just did a couple at one end, a couple in the middle, and a couple at the end.
Yes.
Unless there's like going to be a director's cut where it really is them doing the Northern Lights the entire thing. That would be awful. Like,
sure.
Like, what? Like, it's taped. You guys don't have to actually do it. We'd be cheating the fans if we didn't do it for real. Like, you guys are crazy. I want to say stupid, but I would watch it just to be like, there's no way that's really what they're doing. Poor Sammy takes like a 90-foot one-wing angel at the end.
Well, no, let's not cheapen Jericho's.
I almost
Jericho fighting the mascot.
Yeah, where he laid out the Jaguar.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked when he challenged the Count.
Yeah.
Because I really didn't see that coming.
Yes.
And like I thought it. I'm sure there's people who hated that part, but it made me laugh because but as Jericho is right now, that's a very Jericho thing to do.
Yes.
So I don't have any issue with it.
Well, Jericho's character is so weird because he can switch to comedy to ruthless in a matter of seconds, and you don't think anything of it.
It's almost like the Joker in a way.
Yeah.
Where sometimes Joker's just a crazy jewel thief, and other times he wants to kill Gotham City, but not Batman. Yeah. Well, and then at the end of Jericho fighting, though, Hangman came out with the line sprayer, just rolled over him, which I thought was real weird. But I mean, basically Hangman just wanders around and gets into stuff once he's drunk, so that fit in pretty good.
From what I've seen, on that pay-per-view and on Being the Elite and on Dynamite, I guess they just got rid of him fighting with the Elite. I guess they'd scrapped that because of coronavirus, I guess.
Who was it?
Well, you know how they was kind of alluding that he was going to betray the Elite or leave the Elite permanently. And it looks like they're just going to get rid of that idea for now.
Right. Well, I don't know if that was... I don't know what their plan was, because there's no... It doesn't... If they booked everything with Hangman the way... Like, if everything has happened the way they planned it, they are geniuses.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, he's a made man now at this point. As long as he doesn't do something stupid to mess it up.
Yeah.
He's where they probably wanted him to be a while ago, but they made it work.
I think he's where they want him to be at the beginning of AEW, basically.
Yeah, because they were hyping him up, or maybe they knew that hyping him up that way would kind of fail, and then he could be rebuilt. Like, that might have been like, well, this is either going to work or it's going to fail, but it puts you in a position to do this. Like, they might be smart enough to know that that's like a 50-50 proposition. Like, it's either going to work or people are going to reject it.
Yeah.
Something I noticed as well, they did the spot where Matt did the moonsault off the goalpost, but the ladder was actually higher than the goalpost that they used.
Yes.
But to be fair, if I'm in that situation, doing it off the goalpost is way cooler than the ladder, so that's what I'm doing as well. But I just watched it. I was like, oh, that's kind of funny.
Well, in the goalpost too, we give you more support for your feet. If
you don't have to worry about slipping off, it moving from under you.
If you're using a logical thing, I mean, yeah.
Right.
So.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm sure Jim Cornette had a brain aneurysm for this thing.
Oh, I'm sure.
Like, he might not be alive anymore. Trying to think. But yeah, so they did the big one-wing angel spot. They dumped the Gatorade on Kenny. Was there anything... I think those are all the thing... Like, that's pretty much the majority of it. The ring was used for like 30 seconds. Seems like a lot of effort to put the... Which I'm glad. I mean, it would have... And I will say, talk about AEW privilege. They have Daly's Place that they can use whenever. That's like a legitimate stadium setting.
Yeah.
And they were able to use a football stadium.
Yeah.
What?
Got the cheerleaders.
Yeah, like,
in there. I mean, yeah.
They definitely, as far as like facility use that they had access to during all this, they have the upper hand.
Well, that's what I think that's what I said at the beginning of this. I'm like, they're stuck in a Daily Place, and WWE is stuck in a studio lot. I mean, clearly, there's so much more you can do
Yeah,
at a stadium than you can. Yeah, so.
Well, if you see something where it's like, oh, AEW did this crazy match at Jacksonville Jaguar Stadium, to someone who's casual, it's like, well, oh, excuse me, sorry, I've been drinking energy drink, and apparently the carbonation has caught up to me. Where it's like, man, how is it that they're in that big of a stadium? Like, how's that happening? Like, well,
Yeah.
when you own the stadium,
Sure.
you get some privileges.
Yep.
So that was fantastic for them. And like, they still had like the crowd mic'd for this thing, but it felt like they did a pretty good job of the chants and stuff were pretty neutral. That it would have been what like the actual crowd would have been doing. Like, it didn't feel forced.
Well, on Big Swole's Twitter,
I
everyone
forgot
was
about
saying,
her. She was awesome.
Well, everyone was saying that Big Swole earned her money that night by
She was giving it to
being the
Mr.
crowd
Brody.
noise.
I think Brody
Yeah.
owes her money or something.
So,
Well, I was really liking her weird segments on being the elite for a while there. But yeah, she's like something about her is very engaging in a way where I want to see more of her. Like, first time I saw her, I was like, I don't know what I think about this. But then once she got to show like some personality, I was like, all right, there's something entertaining here for sure.
well, other than Britt Baker, she has the most personality of everyone on there.
Yeah.
I mean, for actually talking and everything. I mean,
Yeah, she's getting into stuff.
the alien woman, whatever you want to call her. I can never think of her name. What's her
Who?
name? Statlander. That's her.
Yeah.
I mean, she doesn't really talk either. So I mean, they have no women wrestlers that actually talk other than Nyla and Britt Baker and
Right, have
Big
Big
Swole,
Swole in
so,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to see if some of the other people, like, again, I'm sure they were planning all kinds of different things that have happened, but yeah, they
Sure.
definitely are the most vocal as far as like doing anything. All right, was there anything else from that you want to touch on, or you want to move on to Dynamite?
Yeah, I would. I would recommend anyone watching at least the John Moxley fight was all right. I like that one, and
Right.
the Stadium Stampede was awesome.
Yeah.
Now, do you
Watch
think
the Stadium Stampede last. Don't watch the Stampede
yeah.
and then the others, because you're going to be bored, or
Now, before we
you're
move
going to hate
on,
it.
Now, before we move on, was Stadium Stampede better, equal, or worse than the Boneyard match?
I would have to say I have a two-part answer to this. Different,
Okay.
because one was entertainment, the other felt more serious to me. If I had
Okay.
to watch, if I was going to watch one of them again, I would still watch the Stadium Stampede because there was more to it. But that
Yeah.
doesn't mean I don't think the Boneyard match was really good. Like, the Boneyard, I thought that was fantastic. But that's that more serious kind of one-on-one vibe. I mean, you got 2 murders out of that. So
Yes, it's true.
that's the Undertaker being as dastardly as possible.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like the Stadium Stampede more, but it has just that right amount of zaniness that I'm okay with in
Yes.
wrestling. Now, if I was in like an emo mode, I might say Boneyard match. But
Okay.
yeah, it's going to be hard for anything to top the Stadium Stampede for me for a
Yeah.
while, as far as just enjoyment. Like, I'm not saying it's better, but I enjoyed it more. Because, like, the overall filming on the Boneyard match was a higher quality. Like, that had, like, a really good feel to it. But just entertainment-wise, what do you think?
Yeah, Stadium.
Yeah.
Stadium was better. I
Right.
thought.
But, like, Boneyard's still good. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I like Boneyard, but like you said, if you give me a choice, like, all right, Saul, you can't see one of these matches again for another 10 years. I'm gonna like, okay, well, I'm gonna
Right.
choose Stadium.
but yeah.
So,
But put me in a different, make me watch all 7 seasons of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I might be in that emo mode where I want the Boneyard match because I'm depressed.
There you go.
Because that was a depressing show. And then the remastered edition that you pointed out to me, where they messed up all kinds of stuff. Before we get to Dynamite, I have something I want to address that I think is hilarious. On, I think it was SmackDown, Elias was injured in the NXT parking lot.
Okay.
Are you aware of how many horrible things have happened in the NXT parking lot?
I have seen on the Bleacher Report, because every now and then I'll check WWE out on the Bleacher Report, and I do see a lot of people being attacked in the parking lot. Yes.
Aleister Black has been found unconscious there. There have been people kidnapped. Hideo Itami was injured there, and they never found out who did it. Elias has been hit and run. Someone, it's not like super popular, but on that change.org where you can do petitions, someone put on change.org for put security guards in the NXT parking lot. And so the person named was Gith Skull, started this petition to WWE and 2 others. It's listed as an endless string of professional wrestlers have been attacked in the unsafe conditions of the NXT parking lot. Some of them, some of them have never been seen again. Not long ago, wrestlers Raul Menendez and Joaquin Wilde were abducted in plain sight. This has to change. Please add security guards to the parking lot immediately. So, it's just all kinds of horrible things happen there. It's funny.
Well, I think WWE has just switched from because back in the day, people would get attacked all the time by doing interviews with Mean Gene. So
right.
Now they just switched it to the parking lot. So
yeah, at NXT. Well, I can't wait for them to really like get in with the joke. Hopefully, and there was one day where they're in like New York, but they're like, "Well, unfortunately, whoever was attacked in the NXT parking lot, even though they're not there." Like, for some reason, they were off-site and attacked at the NXT parking lot. Like, I would like that. All right, so Dynamite. This felt like a setup Dynamite for the most part, where they were basically they had to start a few new storylines. Yeah, and it just wasn't
like a reboot.
Yeah, it just and kind of expect that because like. Their pay-per-views are kind of like a bookend to a story since they don't do them every single week or month. So I'm wondering if that's always going to be the case, is where like just the show after a pay-per-view, they got to kick off the next round of stories and it's just a little bit down. Maybe the current environment made it worse, but we got some high spots for sure out of the whole thing. Like there was some cool stuff.
Oh, sure.
But what did you think? Did it feel kind of lackluster to you in a way?
I think, well, again, stupid Corona, I think, really messed. I mean, this could have been a lot cooler than what it was, in my opinion, I guess.
Yeah. Are you referring to the FTR showing up?
Yeah, FTR. I think if that was a live crowd, they would have went nuts.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they didn't want to sit for who knows how long.
Oh,
I'm so glad they didn't rev up their truck. Like, they just actually drove in, didn't run into anything.
See, what I would have done is I would have had my truck actually where you stopped at and just revved up my engine for a couple feet.
Well, it would be funny if they would have done that and then been like, F Cody or something, like just making fun of it. Like, that would have been pretty good.
Sure. Yeah, so
like,
I'm glad that they showed up and they're not sitting on the shelf for who knows how long we can have.
Yeah, just waiting for a live crowd to debut when they don't know how long that will be. Yeah. So the Matt I haven't really looked into it. Did the Private Party actually get injured, or was that an excuse to get Matt Hardy away so that it was just the Bucks?
I have not heard anything either. And that's what I was thinking. I was like, that was their way of just getting Matt Hardy out of the ring.
Right, because if that's I would prefer it to be that way because I don't want anyone to get hurt. But if that was, they did it really well. Yeah. To where I was like, oh, what's going on? But yeah, so the whole match like really doesn't matter in a way. But yeah, Butcher and Blade come in and jump the Bucks. And then, hold on, I got to read their names here. Dax and Cash, FTR, came in their truck, beat the crap out of Butcher and Blade, did a spike pile driver, and then walked away without attacking the Bucks. Which I think is good. I'm assuming they're just going
to shatter machine or whatever it's called.
Yeah, I don't know if they're calling it Shatter Machine. I don't know if they can. Machine Shatter. They're just going to switch the name.
I thought they got the rights to it, but yeah, either way, they because I mean, obviously, you don't want them to fight the Bucks right off the bat. There, you want that build up some stuff.
Well, and they're big on their tag team, like the best tag team, so they're gonna make the first contact with them. Hopefully, be a match. Like I'm hoping that we don't have any contact at all until they get a match at some point.
Now this might be jumping ahead a little bit, but so the Butcher and the Blade, the bunny is like no longer the bunny anymore, and she's like off to the side flirting with.
What do you mean? That was Allie. That's not the bunny. Bunny is a completely different character. I'm pretty sure.
So yeah, I mean, so is that what they're going with? You think they're going with two different characters?
I really don't know how that whole thing works, but they might just be doing like a little bit of a reboot to Butcher and Blade.
Okay.
Did Blade look way more jacked to you?
Yes, he looked bigger.
I don't know if he cut, like if he did like a cut like a bodybuilder would do. Or he's just been not touching carbs or something, but he looked super jacked. So
well, it's funny because Allie is married to the Blade in real life, so it's just I'm just like, to me, I mean, I understand it's storylines and whatever else, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the whole thing. But speaking of that, though, I guess QT is just full on calling it the Diamond Cutter now.
Oh, is he?
Like, I don't know if you saw on Being the Elite where he was talking with DDP through the window. Kind of like DDP was Hannibal Lecter.
Yes.
Or more so, DDP was treating him like Hannibal Lecter because he wouldn't let him in his house because he doesn't want to get sick.
Yeah.
But, because I think it was Dark, they just flat out called it the Diamond Cutter instead of like the QT Cutter or anything like that. But that could be a big help to him. For sure, because that's as far as a finisher, if it's not going to be a super kick, a Diamond Cutter is a pretty good one.
You're in order for me to like that character, you have to give me more than just him eating apples. I'm sorry.
He throws it behind the back. He's an underdog. He's an underdog. He actually feels like an underdog afterthought person who is trying really hard. So we'll see how it goes over time. But I mean, if he's just like someone who's going to be like solid in the mid card, then he'll be fine. I mean, he's so much more athletic than he looks like he should be to me. It's bizarre.
Agreed. I'll agree with that.
So they went on, let's see. We had Moxley on commentary for Brian Cage with Taz, which we talked about briefly, where the whole point of this was for Cage to just wreck this dude. Poor Lee Johnson has not been faring well. Like, if there's an actual draw for the enhancement guys, he has been getting the short end of the stick because he gets people who don't mess around.
Sure, but hey, need money somehow.
The drill claw or the Steiner screwdriver, whatever you want to call it, is a horrifying move to watch.
Yes, it is.
Cage's quads are so gigantic, though, that I think there's about zero danger in anyone's head ever actually getting spiked.
Sure.
I could be wrong. Like, maybe he's murdered people with it for real. But if I was going to let someone do it to me, it'd be someone who's that big that I know can, he's not going to be like, you're just too heavy. Like, he'll be all right.
Cage is a big man.
Yeah, he looks scary. So, he's got Taz, and then, like, Taz did that promo, and, like you were saying, he did the beat him if you can, survive if he lets you thing. That Taz is good at talking.
Yeah.
Like that. I mean, he makes a living at it.
I liked him in ECW.
Yeah.
I liked him in ECW. He was good.
Yeah, and then his podcast, he can also make you say everything Jones if you're not careful. So if you go and listen to his old podcast, just be aware. Let's see. We got Britt Baker doing her conspiracy thing now in her wheelchair.
Yeah.
I imagine that will be pretty good because she's out for a while. I don't know
how the back of her chair said "roll model."
I didn't catch that.
Yeah, so as she was wheeling out,
on the back
of her chair said "roll," like ROLL model. Yeah.
Oh, that's
okay.
That's a perfect little touch.
Yeah.
So we got Inner Circle. One thing, if anyone wants it, unless it's sold out, on Pro Wrestling Tees, they had the Inner Circle Stadium Stampede Championship shirts for 50% off.
Yeah.
Which I'm real tempted to try to buy one of those because I think that's hilarious.
I just thought it was. I'm like, okay. Did you guys? It almost seemed like the way they played it off was like they actually did order a lot of those and they changed the match and they're like, oh well, we got all these T-shirts now.
I think because like the Elites is on like a black shirt, I'm pretty sure. Like the Super Bowl championship shirts that always get sent to like other countries to be given away are always those like white generic looking ones. So I think it was done like purposely, but I really don't know. It's so hard to say with the way they do stuff that there's some things that seem like elaborately thought out and other things they just go with it. So I have no idea. But it would be funny because Tony Khan would be familiar probably with teams having the shirts made and then having to give them away or something. So
sure.
But it looks like we're gonna, because Orange Cassidy was just wandering around for whatever reason. So I'm guessing that we're gonna get a Jericho Orange Cassidy match at some point.
Yeah,
because he's talked about wanting to work with him on his podcast a couple times, and I think Jericho will be able to play into Orange Cassidy perfectly.
Yes, I agree with that.
Which I almost think should be a test for people in a way. Like, can you take whatever you do and make it work with Orange Cassidy?
Sure.
We had. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
I was just gonna move on because Sheeta beat up Christy Janes in a fairly competitive match for Christy Janes. Like, I was kind of surprised. I thought Sheeta was just gonna wreck her.
Yeah. I did notice JR's comments during this match was very. I don't know if he was planning on making it sexual.
Yes,
but there was a lot of sexual innuendos going on there.
Yeah, I don't know because what he said didn't make sense, but it could also be interpreted that way. And it's
well, because I was kind of in and out of it during this match, and I was in the kitchen, and I heard him. I was like, "Did he just say that?"
Right. I had a couple moments of that where I was like, "That makes sense," but did he mean it? Because he doesn't usually do that. So I'm willing to give benefit of the doubt that it just kind of happened. But I mean, he's an old man, and for the most part, I feel like old men get dirtier as they get older. So,
well, like I think I text you. I could just hear King puppies.
Yeah. It went back like that was so like I remember being irritated by him saying puppies all the time back then. Watching old stuff, it was like, okay, I get it. Trying to think.
Yeah, it was almost. It was almost like McMahon was just like, "All right, Jerry, I want you to turn it up to 100. I want you to go extreme with it."
Right, please. We need to get over the fact that this is a woman. She has mammary glands that men love to look at. They're gonna love it.
Yeah. Exactly.
We got an interview with Cody. I was hoping he'd have the finished belt, but I guess not. I thought it was a good promo overall, and him talking about doing like a match with the TNT belt every week.
Yeah, why do I feel like this is playing into Zack Ryder or whatever his name is coming into here in
Matt Cardona now.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's where they're leading this up to.
Right, that's fine. I will be curious because Cardona's not bad in the ring at all. He's got a lot of personality. If he never goes woo woo woo, I'll be a fan, because that does not do it for me.
Well, I remember, because I don't remember that guy at all during his run as WWE champion or whatever he was, and I was like,
Internet
I remember
champion.
asking you about that. Be like, what's up with this woo 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 thing he does?
Yeah, basically,
somebody does.
There's some like interviews with him recently, but they actually talk about what went on. Is they weren't doing anything with him, so he started doing like this YouTube stuff. Basically, like he was arguably one of the first people to really do it in a way, and it was really catching on with people, because he'd do like funny stuff where they're like, "What are you doing?" Because he'd be like climbing a fence, and he was like, "I'm just proving that I can get over it," and like, or like, "What are you doing now?" And it'd be like him drawing money, like with crayons or something. So he'd do a lot of little like nods like that, and he made like this internet championship, and people were digging it. And he was partners with Kurt Hawkins. Myers is his real name, I guess. But he spoke on it because Ryder, Cardona, whatever you want to call him, didn't seem to want to. That basically he got super over and it wasn't planned, so they cut the legs out from under him, because that was when like he had like the on-screen romance interest, but like Cena kind of stole her, and then he ended up in a wheelchair and Kane threw him off the stage in a wheelchair, and they just basically ruined him in a way.
I don't understand why. I guess it's always been like that in wrestling. If someone is over, why do you want to
make money?
I mean, who cares? I mean, who cares if it's not your guy?
Obviously, we can only go on all the stories we hear, but every story does seem like Vince has a bit of a maniac trait to him, where if it's not his idea or his plan, then it's not going the way he wants. So I would not be surprised, because I've heard like other wrestlers talk about that as an example, where if it's not in the plan for you somewhere down the line, then maybe they're gonna undercut it or something, or they're not gonna act on it very quickly. I mean, again, I bring it up all the time, the RKO out of nowhere. It was like 6 months after that was kind of dead, WWE was like, "Here's a t-shirt." So I mean, I could totally see where they're like, "Oh, we never intended for The Rock to be in the ring, but the people to be chanting for Zack Ryder." Sure.
Well, but even in WCW they did that. I mean, with the Horsemen versus the NWO, or like the Ravens flock versus the NWO, it's like, you guys. I mean, if fans are digging it, just go with it. Who cares?
Right. Well, to be fair, Ravens flock really fell apart when they got fed to Goldberg. But but at least in that case, like, well, you're going to feed a popular group to Goldberg, who was definitely your biggest thing, and people were into it. That's fine. So that makes more sense to me, because it's like, yeah, we're making a sacrifice, but Goldberg's going to make us a lot more money here. But with Ryder, like, they could have done something with him during that time. Like, I wasn't a big fan, just being honest, but you can't deny that, people were super into him.
Well, sure, yeah. Exactly.
Just like Enzo and Cash. Like, I couldn't stand the tag team, but at WrestleMania Star or whatever down in Cowboy Land, we were at the Access thing, and they were coming out for a match, and that entire place emptied because everyone wanted to see them. And we walked over, and I was just sitting there, I was like, just looking around, like, because I'd be like, I don't get it. They say almost the exact same thing every time, and people love this, but I'm looking around, and everyone is just like hypnotized into it, and I was like, I don't get it, but I understand why you would push it, because people are loving it. But it just wasn't.
They always reminded me as an ECW tag team.
I could see that.
Yeah, so.
But
I don't get it. Anyway, back to the
getting through this. So Jimmy Havoc and Kip Sabian win a title shot to get obliterated by Adam Page and Kenny Omega next week, I'm guessing.
They bother me because they're supposed to be a tag team, but they come out with separate music.
Different gear.
That
Well,
bothers
they're just friends who are a tag team. It's
That
different
doesn't matter,
than
maybe. Oh
being
no!
a tag team.
So if you and me were a tag team, the Terrible Towers or whatever,
Yes.
we would. I would, and you were like, okay, so I want to come out with Moan Ring. Like, no, we're coming out together, or we're not coming out at all.
We got to at least have a matching color scheme.
So it's something. I mean,
Well, that's really
bugs me.
really more on Kip, because Jimmy Havoc, I guarantee you that guy's closet is all black, and then he's got that one white blood splattered suit, and that's it.
Sure.
So Kip
Yeah.
Sabian needs to buy some black. It's really what it needs to be, and then they will at
Something.
least be matching.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't need to go demolition with it or anything, but
Yes.
but yeah. So I mean, that was basically it's a match, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it's just to get Hangman and Kenny a match on TV. I don't think there's
Yeah.
any chance in the world that Havoc and Sabian win it. Let's
Who knows?
see. So they did the Battle Royal for the title shot.
Yep.
We're gonna get Jungle
That
Boy.
was somewhat entertaining.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. They like to try the Battle Royal an awful lot. I wonder if it's because Battle Royals usually are terrible, and they're just convinced that they can do them halfway decent.
Sure.
I just don't know. But yeah, so there's MJF and Wardlow do some shenanigans throughout the match, but
Well,
yeah, Jungle Boy.
they
So
tease.
Jungle Boy lost to MJF, but he wins here, so that doesn't make me feel too bad. Were you gonna say Wardlow and Luchasaurus?
No, I was going to say they teased Colt Cabana and going with the Dark Order. So
Oh yeah, because he
That
picks
might
up the
be,
flyer, right? Or did they
yeah,
hand
so that
him
might
one?
be interesting. They handed the spokesperson guy, the
Yeah.
herald, I guess you would call him, handed him a pamphlet. Yeah. So
That'd be interesting, because he would either do a total change, or he would be like the weird dude in the cult. That's
Yeah.
not like fully brainwashed, but like he's brainwashed enough, but he still has a sense of humor to know that it's ridiculous. So we'll see.
So Peter Avalon and Cutler, and it's a shame because in order for you to get the joke, you have to watch Being the Elite. And I don't, if you're not a diehard fan,
Probably not.
people aren't going to be watching, Being the Elite. But their whole like, you suck, no, you suck worse than I do thing. It's pretty funny.
Because I watch Being the Elite and Dark and all
Yeah.
that, their story is honestly one of the most compelling things to me.
Sure.
Because they're either going to become a tag team that wins at some point, or they're going to build
Yes.
up to a match that they're going to have, where there
Yeah.
has to be one of them wins finally.
Yes.
And either way, I'm going to love it. Because they're
Yeah,
both
sure.
actually good. It's just
Yeah.
they're, where they're positioned. But, like, yeah, I really think every time I watch Being the Elite, I'm like, this story has actually got, like, this is better than a lot of main event storylines I've seen over the
Yes.
years.
Yes.
Because it's about winning, there's pride, and it's a personal issue. Like,
Yep.
it's shockingly, and it's intertwined with anything else that they have going on.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know. That'd be interesting what else they do with it. So.
Let me see here. So we got, so Jungle Boy Cody should be good. I can't imagine Jungle Boy winning that one either. So pretty much it's a
I can't
guarantee
see-
that both titles are changing hands next week at this point. Based on Double or Nothing predictions.
I mean, it'd be weird to see Cody lose it right when he got it, but sure.
I mean, it would be a shock,
whatever.
but it'd be interesting. 'Cause it feels like there's like some heel tendencies to Cody. A little bit here and there.
Yeah.
So that could be the push, maybe. I don't know.
So here's my prediction. It's a long-term prediction. I predict before the end of the year,
long term for
Cody-
you or long term for basically the people in charge of AEW?
long term for me, I guess.
Okay.
I see by the end of 2020, Cody being a full heel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, do you think that'll be to hold on to the title, or do you have like a catalyst that finally pushes it in motion?
I'm thinking we're going to realize that the championship title means so much to him. He's willing to do anything to keep it, type thing.
Okay.
So,
I mean, that makes the title more important too, though. And
sure.
then
I
maybe
I think it's going to help the title and help him. So
yeah. Well, he seems to like the old style storylines, so we'll see. And then a lot of people were reading into him doing the 4 Horsemen sign for being the 4th person called.
Yeah, I did notice that, because there was really no reason for him to bring that up other than to do the 4 Horsemen sign.
Yeah, so we'll see, because I don't know, him, Spears, or him and somebody in FTR would be a pretty good stable.
It would be neat to see him be a part of the new 4 Horsemen when his dad fought the 4 Horsemen forever. So
I'm sure they could work that into it at some point.
Yeah.
Do you think? Sorry, this is going back a little bit. Do you think? Because Cody's talking about doing the TNT title every week, like a match for it. Do you think that'll be the thing for that belt? Is that whoever has it, like, you defend it every week?
I mean, it should be.
I would like to see that personally. I'm a fan of that kind of thing where it's like every week you gotta defend it, so you eventually can, even if it's someone who's a bigger deal than they should be, you can have them beat. Where it's like, well, you have a match every single week, it's gonna wear you down eventually. Someone's gonna catch you.
Yeah.
Like, they can work that into it. Like, I don't know, but okay. So we got the pep rally with Vicky Guerrero. I kind of fell asleep right before this started, so I woke up to Vicky Guerrero screaming, and I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah. So this whole segment, the whole pep rally thing, it very much reminded me of Dennis Rodman, Carl Malone, Jay Leno of WCW. It just, I don't get it. I'm into this, the celebrities coming into wrestling type thing. I understand it helps wrestling, I guess. I mean, because you have a celebrity coming in, but
right.
I don't know. Yeah,
I was more surprised to see Rashad Evans. Of all the people, like, because I loved him on not Tough Enough, Ultimate Fighter. Like, he was one of the more likable people on that. So I've always been a fan of his.
all the wrestling talk shows that I watch on YouTube all talked about the guy who painted his face for whatever reason, and they're like, was he trying to steal the show from Tyson and Jericho? Because it was so weird that, because he was standing right next to Tyson the entire time, and making faces, and
I don't know. I mean, you're not going to steal the show from Tyson. I don't, like, you got to be a pretty big deal.
Well, the funny thing is, because what's his face, Brian Alvarez or whatever his name is. Yes, he said that he heard that that AEW did not know that Tyson's going to bring out the whole group of people like that.
Really?
That was a complete shock to AEW that he came out with his entire little group.
I mean,
to
be fair, that's an impressive group of people. Vitor Belfort, Rashad Evans, specifically. Like, for not being aware of it, if you're not having to pay him a bunch, that's pretty...
Sure.
That gives you a little bit of extra.
Yeah.
And, I mean, to be fair, it would make sense that Tyson's not going to walk out to the inner circle alone, knowing that Jericho's going to hold a grudge. Sure. So, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, so the whole thing was just, I don't know. I mean, in real life, Jericho is not going to be able to do anything to Tyson. Tyson would knock Jericho out
so fast. I'm assuming that's what we're going to end up with out of this. But I like that they're bringing it up. Like, Jericho's not pretending it never happened. That Tyson already knocked him out once because he turned on him. So that's fine. I guess there were some people criticizing basically carrying on a WWE storyline, and it's like, well, what am I supposed to do? Pretend that never happened?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that'd be completely stupid. So
I'm surprised WWE has not tried to sue yet for it.
Somehow.
Somehow, yeah. You can't mention the past.
Yeah, you're like, that was our Chris Jericho.
Yes.
I don't know if it works that way. You want to go on to Apokolips War Justice League?
Yeah, I think we're done with wrestling this week. Overall, I thought Dynamite was just
Yeah, it was.
That's my rating.
Yeah, they were setting it. It feels like it was a setup. We got FTR though, so we know that's coming at some point. So it was okay. I have high hopes for next week, so we'll have to see.
Yeah.
So, all right, I'll hit our bumper here.
Something that could never, ever possibly destroy us. Mr. Stay Puft.
You chose poorly. You have chosen wisely.
All right. So we were unable to watch more episodes of Harley Quinn. You had sent me something yesterday that you had watched Justice League Dark Apokolips Wars. We're like, hey, we could do that. And I was like, well, okay. For the most part, if you tell me an animated DC movie is good, I believe you.
Yeah.
So I did the rental thing or whatever. And I was very entertained by this.
Yeah.
So,
It's very dark.
Yeah, for sure. So setup to this is basically Flash is a jerk and is the source of all problems in the DC universe constantly.
Yes.
That feels pretty fair, actually, right?
Yes.
Like, that's giving Flash a little bit of benefit of the doubt.
Yep.
But, so I thought this one was interesting. So, in this particular version of the universe, Darkseid exists, and they call a meeting for everybody. There's a little bit of a scene with Constantine in the beginning.
Yeah.
It's paid off later. I mean, we're probably going to be doing spoilers on this, right? Like, we're going to talk about everything that actually happened. Okay.
Yeah. If you want to watch this, just stop listening now and go watch it. So.
And then come back and you can compare your thoughts. So, yeah, so Constantine wakes up to Zatanna doing the remember.
Yep.
Like, just keep saying that over and over, and he's real confused by it. Then there's a meeting
I was also
called...
confused by it.
Yes, I wasn't really sure what was going on.
Yeah.
Then you have Batman calls a meeting. Superman is up front, and basically they know Darkseid is probably coming for Earth, so they have decided to go on the offensive. And Superman is super adamant that they need to strike now and destroy Darkseid. Lex Luthor,
because this is leading off to I don't know if you probably didn't watch it because it's Superman related, the death of Superman, because Darkseid cloned or did something to Doomsday basically, he sent him to Earth to kill Superman. So that's why Superman was so
well in this universe. Yeah, originally Doomsday is Kryptonian, so.
Sure, no, yeah, I'm just talking about this storyline that they're doing.
Right.
Doomsday was created by Darkseid through Superman's blood or whatever.
Yeah, I didn't see the... I've seen, like, the Death of Superman animated, but it's, like, the super old one. Yeah. And then once Doomsday wins, I've never watched the last part of it. Like, it's basically... Oh, funeral? Oh, that was a good movie.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so they have that. But, yeah, like, Superman's, like, super militant almost in a way. Lex Luthor is kind of a good guy, and he's trying to be like, maybe there's a better way. But like Superman's like, no, we're doing this, and everybody's like, okay.
Yeah.
So they go on, and like they're flying to, like, they basically have like a plan to try to like get rid of all the paratroopers.
Yeah.
Or the parademons, I'm sorry, parademons. And basically go one-on-one with Darkseid is what it seemed like. And they want to, like, blow up War World or Apokolips, whatever they're calling his planet in this one. That plan does not go very well. Turns out that Darkseid has somehow compromised Cyborg and knows their entire plan. Because he was able to watch through Cyborg's eyes what the plan was. When they show up and they get into range of the planet, instead of parademons, we see they're bigger versions of them,
Yeah.
One of them flies through the windshield. Right, which we don't know yet what it is.
Yeah.
But one of them flies through the window, and all of a sudden you're on Earth, and Constantine is drinking, I guess, in a bar.
Yes.
With, is it Etrigan? Is that how you say it? I gotta look.
Oh, that demon guy? Yeah, I don't know.
Etrigan, or Etrigan. The rhyming demon
Yeah.
who... He's not very happy currently.
Let's call him the rhyming demon, yeah.
Yes. But they're in like a pub, and basically he's going through all the different whiskeys that start with Glen.
Yes.
And he's just down in bottle after bottle. Etrigan is kind of passed out, and then all of a sudden some dude with a beard and Raven come in.
Yep.
And it turns out it's Superman, but his eyes are green. You're like, what's going on here? One of the parademon things come through, and Superman can't do anything. Raven's having some problems, so Constantine takes care of him along with Etrigan.
Yeah.
And then you get some backstory. So they basically did like the time jump, and I thought this was excellent for the storytelling, because it gives that, well, what happened? So, like as you said, they're paradooms now. They basically spliced Doomsday's DNA into these things, and there's an army of them. So they are nearly unstoppable. Over the course of time, you get like some flashbacks to the battle, and basically the heroes are ripped in half, mutilated, eaten. Like, it does not go well for anybody.
Yeah, I mean, like, Wonder Woman gets her arm ripped off. And,
well, and they all... and basically, Superman got injected with liquid kryptonite, and they branded him with, like, the Superman shield and green on him. And so he's basically a jobber now, because it shows that, like, his fighting ability was based on being super strong. He has zero technique in anything.
Yeah, that was...
Like, if you've taken a karate lesson, you are a better fighter than Superman.
Well, like Constantine said, Darkseid kept him alive basically as a warning.
Yeah, which is a very Darkseid, diabolical villain thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they need to find Damian Wayne.
Yep.
Trying to think. I guess we should just... Basically, all the heroes that were, like, a big deal, Darkseid has converted them in some way. Batman is, like, black and red Batman, which does look cool, but it also looks very evil. So he kind of uses, like, this... is it the Mobius chair? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Yeah.
Basically, like, the chair that gives, like, all the knowledge and everything. Like, pretty fitting for Batman. I believe there's a comic story where he gets a hold of that thing to figure out who the Joker really was. Like a full storyline on that. So, yeah, Mobius chair.
And then,
like
Cyborg
cyborgs built into the thing. Everybody else turns into these weird, like, cyborg things. I mean, a lot of them had body parts removed.
Yeah, I guess Wonder Woman becomes like the leader of the Furies. I guess.
Is that what they're calling it?
Yeah.
So, but during this, like, the whole thing, like, for some reason, like, Zatanna is being overrun, and Constantine just runs away back to Earth.
Yeah.
And, like, he even says at one point, he's like, I've fought in an awful lot of horrible things and never did that. And he's like, I don't know what happened. And it still bothers him. So they basically, like, Earth is not in a good way. Darkseid's been laying siege to it. They're trying to so Raven's issue, just want to try to get some of the small points out here, is Trigon, her father, the demon in the crystal, is gaining power, I guess, and trying to break free. So she's spending an awful lot of energy trying to hold him back. So she is super weak. So, like, anything she does is causing her problems. Like, there's just no rest for her, basically. But they eventually go... like, Lois is leading a resistance force.
Yep.
They get a hold of Damian Wayne, who is now the head of League of Assassins.
Yeah, he's basically Ra's al Ghul. Basically.
Right, and he's probably one of the better characters in this whole thing, I think. Like, he's always... he's entertaining. He tried to bring Nightwing back to life with the Lazarus Pit, and that was a bad idea.
Damian as a character in general, as a Robin and everything, makes so much more sense and makes Batman less creepy.
Yes. Well, and he also just calls Batman out on stuff.
Yes.
But yeah, so he eventually, like, you know, he has some problems with Constantine for running away.
Yeah.
But yeah, they basically are like, well, we got to do something. Lois is basically fighting Harley Quinn in a pit fight to try to get the Suicide Squad to be on their side.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, they put Harley Quinn. The mask and the face paint is traditional Harley. The jeans are Daisy Duke.
Yeah.
If there were no ratings back then, for whatever purpose. They do, like, a fight. Lois actually beats her in a fist fight. So they gain the help of Harley. Basically, the Suicide Squad. You got Bane, who doesn't talk and looks awesome the whole time.
Yes.
King Shark is a shark, which is fantastic. You got Boomerang, the Chitara, or I don't think it's Chitara in this. I think that's Thundercats, but you know who I mean. I would
Cheetah,
assume. Yeah. So they got the use of them. So they all. So Lex Luger is yes. Lex Luger. Yes, Lex Luthor is he has basically switched sides and is with Darkseid because he was surrounded.
Sure.
And he's a snake. Yeah. But he has been a secret informant to Lois Lane.
Yes.
Not surprisingly, Batman was suspicious of him because Batman is pretty smart.
Sure.
So basically, Lex has control of, like, the mother tubes for teleportation.
Yeah, like Lex Luthor is basically playing both sides. So whichever side.
Well, and he's open
whichever
about
side's going to win. Yeah.
Like when they call him out on it, he's like, "Well, yeah." Like, oh, well, it's kind of hard to dislike the guy when he's not going to lie to you about it. He's just like, yeah, absolutely. So there's this big thing where they've sent these Reapers to pull out the molten core of the Earth as resources. Their plan is they're going to attack those to try to draw all the Paradooms from Apokolips or Warworld, whatever, to basically create a scenario where they might be able to get a one-on-one with actually Darkseid's away. Like Lex, he goes to the Green Lantern world, right?
The Oa, or whatever,
OA is how it's
whatever
spelled.
it's called. Yeah.
So he
He
goes
just destroys the lanterns.
I liked there's a hope spot for the Green Lanterns where he's trying. I don't know if he's trying to send rings out. Like, I don't know exactly enough about the Green Lantern lore to know how that works with the giant lantern there. But Darkseid tells Batman, he's like, I would like you to send some of Earth's magma here because I want to prove a point. And right before the lantern can do what he's trying to, the magma rains down on him. And he is turned to ash. Rather sad.
Yes.
Because I was like, oh, maybe they get, like, this somehow wounds Darkseid, you know, something like that. Because I'm trying to figure out where this story is going, because I'm like, this doesn't look very good, one way or the other.
Well, yeah, because it's like, while I was watching, I was like, Darkseid is, I mean, because I like Darkseid being powerful.
Yeah.
Because I think some cartoons and everything kind of make him weak.
Yeah.
Weaker than what he should be, but in this cartoon or movie, he is incredibly powerful.
Yes.
So to the point where I was like, I don't know how they're going to stop him.
Right. Well, and he should be. Like, you need that super strong person because Superman's still more powerful than him. But because he's Goku and he's as powerful as he needs to be.
Yes.
Let's see here. So they eventually like everybody splits up. So Constantine, Superman, like the main people are going to Apokolips, their plan is to blow up the planet. They're going to use the reactor and try to blow it up, and then that kind of at least stops Darkseid for a while. Honestly, unless he decides to just go to Earth and destroy it himself, which he easily could have.
Yes.
So they fight the furries.
Yes.
Wonder Woman kills Etrigan. Like, so basically, this is where you find out, like, everybody's like these crazy cyborgs. Battle kind of turns where Constantine uses magic to get the lasso of truth to free Wonder Woman.
Pretty cool. That was a cool scene.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming. I do really like the way that where Constantine uses like the magic to, where he can teleport and that kind of stuff to avoid getting attacked. Like it
was neat. It was neat when he got a hold of the lasso of truth, and he was excited by the old magic that was flowing through it. The whole scene was pretty cool. I just enjoyed that part.
Right. No, he I really do want more like Constantine and stuff. I might have to actually try to find some old comics or something, because it seems, because of like the show and stuff, like because he had his show, they had the movie and whatever. It was always a character that I was like less than interested in, but I've watched like a few of the Dark and stuff like that where Constantine's in it, and he's always cool.
Well, yes, I think the problem with the show and with the movie is you don't have the bad guys for him to go up against. Because I think if you just have him going up against demons, it gets kind of boring.
Right.
But you having him go up against Darkseid, pretty cool.
Yeah, where he's got to pull out all the tricks and be... still doesn't go exactly well for him, but... So that kind of turns the tide of battle, because he frees Wonder Woman. She starts fighting everybody. So they're free to go try to find the reactor, which they alluded to earlier that Batman had found a workaround, but they don't say what it is. So they find... did they already find that before they fight him? I'm looking at the Wikipedia, because Flash. Oh. Flash is the reactor. No, this happens like immediately after. They basically go in and they find Flash on a treadmill.
Yes.
And, they free him from that, but it's basically Batman is a jerk, is really what it comes, which we all know.
Yes.
But his solution was to put Flash on a treadmill to power the entire planet.
Yes.
Pretty amazing. And then, so with that, Constantine, because Flash, like, can't stop, like, he's phasing in and out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He uses the magic, but he figures out the whole Flashpoint was created by Flash, so he knows what's actually happening.
Sure.
Which it doesn't seem like he actually really tells anybody else what it is, but he knows.
Yeah.
So they're carrying, like, Flash is, like, super thin, like, he's obviously been running for a very long time.
Yeah.
With apparently no candy or anything to keep him going. Going back to the super old Flash live action show where he had the briefcase of candy. They find Cyborg, who's been integrated into the wall. He's part of the wall. Constantine does like techno magic, which he points out. He's like, it's like taking a test you haven't studied for. It's hard. Like, so apparently he's familiar with it, but it's not something he ever uses very often, I guess. But this also frees up the furries. I'm intentionally calling them that. Who were about to wipe out Wonder Woman, but just in the nick of time. So they're freed up. They really don't do much, but they're not under control anymore. So around this time, they're trying to figure out a way to like blow up the planet or something, but their plan of blowing up the reactor when there isn't one, there's not a lot they can do. Around this time, Batman shows back up with Darkseid. Batman and Damian fight. Indra's, which is a pretty good fight. Ruthless Batman is a scary Batman.
Yes.
He says some very hurtful things.
And later on, like earlier, we forgot to mention Harley talks about the new Batman. She goes, "The new Batman is not fun whatsoever because I guess he just goes back and just kills Joker instantly." So
yeah, it's like the first thing he does.
yes.
Which is fair, but yeah, she's like, he is really not fun.
Yes.
Yeah, I forgot about that part.
Yeah.
I would like to remind you though that King Shark is a shark.
Yes.
So yeah, and occasionally you'll get. Well, I guess we get back to that soon. Yeah, they free him, but Batman basically is snapped out of it by Damian. And then Batman throws a because he had the what's it called, the kryptonite sword. Yeah, everybody got because the Paradooms are a concern. Everybody's outfitted with kryptonite weapons, which conveniently Superman just doesn't care about at this point.
Yes.
There is a funny joke where Superman actually has like this Lex Luthor kryptonite powered suit. And Lois was like,
Yes.
"Did you make that suit to kill my husband?" And he was like, "I was going through some things." Like, it's just like, it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the sword in the eye really doesn't do anything to Darkseid because he's invincible.
Yeah.
So he goes to Omega Beam zap him, but Damian gets in the way. And he doesn't get turned to ash, which is impressive, but he is messed up.
Yes.
So, but this pretty much led to, I believe, Raven kind of snapping and Trigon breaking free.
Yes.
Which, now,
Trigon is a scary person.
Yes. In other interpretations, Trigon is like a giant. So early on, I thought that he would come into play and he would actually destroy Apokolips.
Yeah.
But he was more human size in this, kinda. Because basically Constantine immediately traps him, like in a binding circle kind of thing, and offers himself to Trigon. But now I don't know how the magic works in this, because occult and DC occult are not my thing. But he goes into Clark and basically burns out the kryptonite. So it's Trigon with Superman combined. He immediately snaps Constantine's neck.
Yes.
And then he does not like Darkseid because he's like, "Oh, so this is a new god and we're not going to be friends." So they start fighting.
And he is wiping the floor with Darkseid.
Well, it's super powerful Trigon combined with Superman's body, I assume.
Yes.
You go back to LexCorp. Everybody there has their kryptonite weapons. Bane is super jobbed out, of course.
Yes.
At least he didn't talk in this one. And why? I just don't understand. Like I just don't understand.
Ross, one day you will get your Bane that you like.
It exists in Nightfall. It's just it's worse that I had it. If Nightfall wouldn't have been great, I wouldn't care about Bane at all. But because I know it's there, like there's people who give a crap. Like it just never is very long lasting. Basically, Lois gets blown up and uses a comm that kind of brings Clark to his senses, and he can somehow expel Trigon out of him.
Yes.
During this whole thing,
say it, Ross. Go and say it, because Superman is overpowered.
Well, I mean, I didn't know that expelling demon possession was one of his abilities, but apparently he needed it, so he just conjured it up. For someone who doesn't like magic, there's an awful lot of magic just in the nick of time with Superman. Just saying.
Yeah.
So Constantine also ends up coming back to life. He is briefly in the afterlife with Zatanna, who points out that she used a spell to make him run away as part of Batman's backup plan, because that's what Batman does all the time. Even as someone who's a fan of Batman, it's ridiculous that if anything happens, it's like, well, Batman planned for it.
Yes.
Like that's probably as bad as Superman just has a power that allows him to do it.
Yeah.
At least Batman, it's like, well, if you're like a super skeptical, pessimistic person, you are going to have a lot of backup plans. But it's still like, really? He planned for that? And, you know, there was like a third backup plan in place too that just didn't come up. Like as many as they need.
Yeah, Batman's like, oh no, I had 10 more.
Yeah. Which, like, when you have the right characters with him, they point out how insane he is, and it makes it not as terrible. But, yeah, so they basically, Raven also brings back Damien.
Yeah.
Which I guess she uses like a resurrection spell or something. This is, it gives her like the white outfit, basically. So Batman's happy, and calls Damien son and all that stuff. You got, Trigon is still battling. Well, Superman starts fighting Darkseid because he's got his powers back now, but then Trigon eventually decides he's going to fight Darkseid, and he looks at Superman and is like, "You should go or whatever, unless you want to fight me to have the honor of fighting him."
Yes.
Superman's like, "Yeah, I'm good."
Yeah. So first it was Trigon beating the crap out of Darkseid, or Trigon Superman beating the crap out of Darkseid. Then it's Superman beating the crap out of Darkseid, and then it's back to Trigon.
I would say Superman and Darkseid was closer to an equal fight.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Trigon on his own is still like kicking Darkseid's butt somewhere, based on it. But yeah, so Cyborg is coming up with this plan where they're basically going to use the planet can teleport. He's going to set it to teleport to nowhere and trap Darkseid on it, which at this point is going to fight Trigon at the same time. So they decide to do that. The plan is to also get all the Paradooms back there as well. And this part of the plan actually goes well. So they get everything there and it teleports. Darkseid's trying to get away, and Trigon grabs a hold of him because he's like, "Oh, this is going to be awesome," because he's already been in prison for so long. What's another few millennia? Darkseid's like, "Are you mad?" And Trigon's just laughing. I thought that was pretty good. So they get back to Earth. I think there's a little bit of a time lapse, but they brought Nightwing out of the sanitarium, but he's still in a straitjacket. You got all these cyborg heroes sitting around. Yes. And then Batman comes up with the best news ever. Basically, they have... Apokolips did steal, or take, however you want to view it, 30% of the Earth's core, which is going to destabilize the Earth, is pretty much what will happen. So his estimation is there would be 1 billion more deaths before they could even correct it.
Yep.
Not the best ending, because you got a bunch of monsters now, essentially.
Yes.
The world is in shambles. 1 billion more people are going to die, and there's nothing they can do about it. Superman's like, well, we're going to do everything we can, because of course he would. And then we get to the ending, and this just drives me crazy. Because Constantine talks to Flash, and is like, you know what you need to do. He's like, what? And he tells him he knows about the Flashpoint, and he's like, we need another Flashpoint. And he's like, but that seems like a bad idea. And then he kind of does the, take a look around you. This sucks.
Yes.
You think we're going to get worse than this?
Yeah.
So then Flash goes and breaks all the rules of the universe again and creates another Flashpoint.
So everything...
Wiping everything away.
Because there's been a bunch of, I don't know, I'm going to say like 10 movies.
Mm-hmm.
Because he had the Suicide Squad with the Dark Reverse Flash. He finally dies. So
yeah, there's all kinds of stuff that goes with this.
Yeah, so pretty much everything that because there's a lot of bad guys, a lot of stuff has been taken care of. Now Flash is going back and it's pretty much just erasing everything and starting over again.
Right, and I mean it's going to give him a new story to tell, but I just hate the we're going to wipe everything out.
Sure,
like there's no permanence to it.
Some may say it's lazy writing.
Well, it's like, well, we can't just leave it this way. I'm like, yeah, you can.
Oh, yeah.
Revisit it in a few years and do an update story on how Earth is now. That 1 billion people have died. Maybe Superman went mad because it's all his fault because they got jumped by Darkseid. Or Flash has gone mad because it's all his fault because it is.
Yes.
Like, I'm
so
not
overall,
sure.
it was good.
But yeah, like that doesn't take away from like I enjoyed the story. It was a nice take on the DC universe and things like that. But yeah, no, it was definitely if you have access to it for free, definitely worth it. I feel it was worth the $6 I paid for like the Apple rental or iTunes rental or whatever it is.
Yeah,
I think you can do it through
that's what I
YouTube as
did.
well.
I went on PlayStation and rented it. So yeah, I mean it's well worth the $5.
Yeah, I mean if you're into superhero stuff at all and you can handle like some different takes on things, I think it'd be a good.
You want to see DC actually make something good?
Yeah, and I would say even with us like pretty much going point by point with it, like you could still probably watch it and enjoy it.
Oh yeah, we don't give it justice for how cool it is. So,
yeah. Yep. Well, if nothing else, like if you get sick of the good guys always winning, there's an awful lot of the good guys not winning. So. Yes.
Well, because I've always been a fan of Darkseid, like I said, and he definitely gets his point across in this movie. I would say so.
Yeah, they did a very good representation of him. They made him look as strong as Roman Reigns, at least.
Yes.
Possibly 80s Hogan.
Minus the dog food.
Well, that was still funny. That was awesome for Baron Corbin.
Yes.
That made him.
Well.
All right, if you've made it this far, we do have the website, agonyofpositivity.com. There's a little link thing on there where you can give like a message or something if you want us to go over something. We're still planning on getting into more Harley Quinn episodes. We just got to get some access to them. But yeah, whether it's wrestling, that, video game stuff. Again, video game wise, don't. Go ahead.
We haven't forgotten the Jake the Snake Sting thing. We haven't had
a
chance to get a hold of it. So.
Yeah, that's harder. Like you pretty much have to have the network to get a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
WWE is much more protective on YouTube than AEW is clearly.
Sure.
So we will still be getting that.
Yep.
And then let's see, but yeah, that video games we can look into those things. Obviously, if you suggest like a $60 game that we don't own, probably going to be harder on that one. So be aware of that. But the old stuff that we can get a hold of or recent stuff or free to play, please do not suggest Raid Shadow mobile game or whatever, because I'm not going to try that. Although I do like that their YouTube commercials are only 5 seconds. I appreciate that. And it's not giving me a 53-minute documentary commercial that I'm away from the computer and I can't skip.
Yes.
Hate that guy. All right. Seems like a good place to end it.
You guys have a great week. Good
Later. Week. I'm trying to find the stop button.